Hey everyone, and welcome back. Let's dive right into today's explainer where we're unpacking a text that is basically the ultimate happiness guide. Seriously, if you've ever wondered how to find the absolute best, most incredible kind of happiness, instead of just settling for that temporary fun that completely fades away the second you turn off your screen, you are in the exact right place. We're going to look really closely at some profound source material that helps us map out the huge difference between true pleasures and cheap amusements. So let me ask you something. What makes you truly happy? I want you to take a second and really think about what actually brings you joy. Is it playing your absolute favorite video game for hours on end? Or maybe demolishing a massive pile of your favorite sweet treats? Or hanging out with your friends? Now, don't get me wrong, those things are definitely fun in the moment. But let me give you a little hint. Have you ever noticed that sometimes after the game is finally over, or that treat is completely gone, you don't actually feel all that great? You might even feel a little empty or bored. Well, that's because not all fun leaves you feeling good afterwards, and our source text today digs into exactly why that happens.
And that brings us to this amazing foundational text. This is a quote right out of the Bible, specifically Psalm 36, verse 8. It says, "They shall be abundantly satisfied with the fatness of thy house, and thou shalt make them drink of the river of thy pleasures." I mean, I absolutely love the mental picture this paints. The text is explaining that God doesn't just want us to have a tiny little drop of fun every now and then. No way. He offers us a massive, rushing river of pleasures. He wants us to be abundantly satisfied, which means perfectly, completely full of joy.
Okay, let's jump straight into section 1, cheap amusements versus lasting joys. Before we go any further into the text, we need to do a quick vocabulary check. The author uses this really big word, transitory. Basically, transitory just means lasting for a very short time. It's totally temporary. To help us understand this, think of it like a massive sugar rush from eating way too much candy. You get this explosion of crazy energy for about 10 minutes, right? But it fades super fast, and then you just want to take a nap. Well, the text warns us that a lot of the amusements the world offers us are exactly like that. They're transitory. They just don't last. The text actually points out something super interesting here. It says the enemy uses these transitory, cheap amusements, these quick distractions to appeal to the carnal heart, and that just means our selfish, earthly desires. But the true children of God aren't seeking their happiness in those cheap distractions. Instead, they're looking for what the text calls enduring bliss. It describes this as the lasting joys of a home in the eternal city where Christ dwells. They're looking forward to the rewards of obedience. I mean, why on earth would you settle for a quick, cheap thrill when God is offering you enduring bliss in heaven? Moving right along to section 2, guarding your mind.
All right, we've got another big word to tackle here to grasp the author's next point. The word is frivolous. If something is frivolous, it's just silly. It really doesn't have any serious purpose or value. And the text gives us a massive warning about this. It states that we should try to keep our minds in a condition to receive impressions from the Holy Spirit. But, and here is the huge catch, people cannot receive increased light from God if they allow their thoughts to run constantly upon frivolous things. Basically, if our brains are totally jammed up with silly, meaningless distractions all day long, they're blocked. There's literally no room left for the Holy Spirit to guide us.
So you're probably wondering, how do we actually grow spiritually then? Well, the source outlines a very clear strategy. Instead of letting our thoughts just run wild on all those frivolous things, we need to actively store our minds with heavenly treasure. This heavenly treasure is the spiritual food that enables us to grow. When we fill our minds with good things, we're actually preparing ourselves for a holy heaven. We become able to receive those super important impressions from the Holy Spirit, and we can finally use our talents for God's glory. It's kind of like training your brain to be a champion for God. Which leads us perfectly into section 3, helping others brings joy. Here, the author of our text gets pretty personal and shares a very strong feeling. They write that it actually fills them with genuine sorrow when they see people laying plans only for amusement and self-gratification, just doing stuff for yourself. Think about that for a second. Why would that cause sorrow? Well, because, as the text explains, when those selfish interests occupy the mind, there's absolutely no opportunity left for the precious truth of God to take possession of the soul. The author even says they wish these people could be converted because living entirely for yourself is just a trap that completely blocks out true joy. But don't worry, instead of falling into that trap, the text breaks down these crystal clear, awesome steps on how we can find real purpose. Step 1, stop devoting your time and energy only to self-gratification. Step 2, open your eyes and look around for your associates, your friends, your classmates, people around you who are in need. And step 3,
Speak encouraging words to them. The text promises that by doing this, you will bring light and joy to souls who really need help. And let me tell you, using your time to lift someone else up, that brings a happiness that is so much deeper than any cheap, transitory amusement ever could.
All right, last section, section 4, the safe amusement test. So by now we know we want lasting joy, right? But how do we actually know if an everyday activity or a movie or a video game is actually safe and good for us to play? Well, our source material gives us some very specific criteria to figure this out. It says that the only safe amusements are those that will not banish serious thoughts and will not push away religious thoughts. It's a really simple filter. If an activity makes you completely forget about being kind or makes you want to ignore God or distracts you so much that you literally can't think a serious thought, it fails the test. Safe amusements keep our minds healthy and connected to God.
And that brings us to the ultimate, foolproof test from our source. Check this out. The only safe places of resort are those to which we can take Jesus with us. Wow! I want you to really picture that in your head. If you're about to play a new game or watch a video or go hang out somewhere, just ask yourself, would I feel totally comfortable inviting Jesus to sit right next to me and do this with me? If the answer is no, then according to the text, it is not a safe amusement. It's such a brilliant, easy-to-use guide, right? Which leaves us with one final, incredibly important question to think about. Where are you taking Jesus today? Because it is entirely up to you. You have the power to choose what fills your mind and exactly what you spend your time doing. Will you settle for those cheap, transitory amusements that just fade away and leave you empty? Or will you confidently choose the path of lasting joy? I challenge you today to guard your mind, look for ways to help others, and only choose activities where you can excitedly invite Jesus to come right along with you. Because guys, that is how you find that amazing river of true pleasures. Thanks so much for joining me as we explored this text today, and I'll see you on the next explainer.